Thank you. Good morning, everyone. When you're ready to give a presentation on education, it's really wonderful when the presentation before yours is given by a student. I told Jessie back in the green room that I don't have to worry because she set the stage for my presentation. She's reminded all of you how important education is and how valuable it is that we as an agency are building the next generation of explorers. Let's see if I can get this to work. I've spent my entire professional life as an educator, but of all my experiences, the ones that have had the most impact are the years that I spent as a kindergarten teacher. Why? It's because, you know, as a nation, we really struggle to engage students in science and technology and engineering and mathematics. We call that STEM in the education world. And that gets harder, it seems, as students get older. But the really interesting thing is that's not a problem in kindergarten. 5-year-olds are natural scientists and natural engineers. Think about the 5-year-olds that you know. They love to take things apart. They love to build things. They ask questions over and over again. They want to understand the world around them. They're curious and they're innovative. But something happens between the time they're in kindergarten and the time they reach high school. And I'm puzzled by that. And after I left the classroom, I've spent my life trying to change the trend that I saw. That's our real challenge as educators, is how do we keep students interested and curious long after they leave kindergarten? One of my favorite quotes comes from William Butler Yeats, and he wrote, "Education is not the filling of a pail, it's the lighting of a fire." And I really believe when it comes to STEM education that NASA is uniquely positioned to light that fire and keep it burning. I'm often asked how a kindergarten teacher comes to work at NASA, but I'm also often asked, what in the world does a space agency do in the world of education? So it's interesting to know that since 1958, NASA has been in the business of education. That was the year the agency was formed, and in the authorizing legislation forming this organization, it said that we have the responsibility to share our missions with the public and to ensure that our nation remains a leader in science and engineering and technology. So for 53 years, NASA Education has done that. And through those 53 years, our goals really haven't changed much. Basically, what we're trying to do is engage students in STEM. And more than that, we want to encourage them to pursue STEM careers. And you know, there's some personal reasons there. As an agency, we hear all the time that our workforce is aging. Although I have to admit, when I look at all of you, you look really young and good today. So we'd love for everyone to be like Jessie, who wants to grow up and come and work here. But we recognize not everybody's going to come to NASA. So in addition to raising our next generation of the NASA workforce, we really want to create an educated society, an education population who understands that advances in science and technology are critical to our society, and that they know that it is important that the United States stays as a leader in those fields. So what are our goals? We basically just really want to get kids interested in STEM. And how do we do that? Several years ago, the National Research Council reviewed NASA Education K-12 programs. And for better and worse, I had to go and actually present to this committee. And what they were doing is looking at our agency and deciding how we could best make a difference in education. And what they told us was that we had unique assets. We do things that no one else can do, and we need to use those things to inspire our students. They specifically said, you need to share your advances in aeronautics and technology. You need to share the excitement of space exploration. There's no one else who can do that. But you know what was interesting? They called out and said, it is your scientists, your engineers, your technical staff who do the daily work at NASA who are important to making a difference in education. And I think they're right. For the past 5 decades, we've based our education programs on the missions and the things that we do here. And we've used people like all of you in this room to serve as our subject matter experts and our mentors. Now, I'll be honest with you, over 5 decades, you don't do education the same way twice. If you've got kids in school, you know every year there's a new requirement. And so at NASA, we've really had to change as we've done education. Let me show you a little bit about what I mean. So here's the way education looked at NASA several decades ago. The only way we could interface with educators and students was to put education specialists in a van and send them out to a school. They were called space mobilers. Maybe some of you had them come to your school and give a presentation. In addition, they would do professional development for educators. We developed education guides, but you know the only way we could get them into the hands of an educator is to put them in an envelope and mail them to them. Or one of those educators had to come to a NASA workshop. We really thought 20 years ago, we were cutting edge when we decided we could make education videos from the space station, and we used the neatest new technology. We put them on VHS tapes. But it's 2011, and guess what? Students and teachers don't use these things anymore. If we hadn't changed, we would no longer be relevant. And that's the key to good education, is changing as the needs of your audience change. So in 2011, it's an on-demand society. You want something at 11 o'clock at night, and you need to get it right that minute. Or if you're a teacher, it's Sunday night at 11 o'clock and you're doing your lesson plans for the next week. So here's how NASA education has changed. We put everything on the internet. So educators, no matter where they are, can access our materials and our resources. We are developing one-stop shopping websites for students like Jessie who want to work at NASA, and they can come and find all the information they need. We develop virtual communities for students and teachers. We deliver professional development over the internet. We video conference with schools around the country. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We do interactive events from the space station. We turn the National Lab into a research facility that will use student researchers to develop new and interesting experiments. We bring students to work at NASA centers, and more than that, we bring them to our centers and put them on our flight platforms. We let them use our facilities to do research. And not just at the university level, we bring middle school students to do experiments in the drop towers at the Glenn Research Center. We've entered the world of video games, because we know that kids play video games, and we are developing NASA-based video games that students can access. We don't make 20-minute videos anymore, because guess what? No child seems to want to watch anything longer than about 3 to 5 minutes. We put our videos online, and we also hand those students video that they can manipulate. They develop their own podcast. And maybe most importantly, we realize formal education, the classroom, is not the only way to reach students. What we do is we now look at alternative ways in summer learning programs and after-school programs to infuse our content and resources into those activities. So 20 years ago, our reach was limited. Now our reach has expanded. but I think there's still more change to come for NASA education. We're in the midst of a major redesign. Just like much of the agency, we're looking at ways to do business more efficiently and more effectively. And we're also going to start looking beyond our own assets to partner with our organizations throughout the country. Let me show you what I think the future of NASA will look like. We recognize that in this world, when communication is so important, that students are able to access our resources in many ways. We're going to partner with science centers and research centers. We're going to use media entities, and we're going to use children's programming as a way. These are all organizations with which we partnered and which we will continue to work. We're going to work with other federal agencies. At this point, our reach is going to be almost endless. So when you think about NASA, every day we explore, we discover, and we learn. It's exactly what students do in the classroom. It's exactly what teachers want them to do. In my mind, we're uniquely positioned to be the catalyst to light the fire to make students interested in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. If you're interested in more information on NASA education, please visit our website and look for opportunities for you to get involved, as well as for students and educators. Thank you.